So Friday is our celebrity gist day. So we're minding our business when we saw that olori Sekinat elegunshi was granted an interview actually where she said that one cannot meet a man who does not womanize. Oh, that man has not been born. And that statement threw tremors down everybody's heart. The GO doesn't cheat. Mommy GO doesn't cheat. Pastor Oyedepo does not cheat. So there are men that don't cheat. But that's what came to me. When she said that, that was the first that came to me. Excuse me, there are some people that don't cheat now. But this obviously got people talking. She's the first wife, and her husband has a second wife, we believe. And so someone like her, she's in a polygamous relationship. And obviously, cheating for her may not be cheating as it is for some people. What are your thoughts on this blanket statement that that man that will not womanize has not been born? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Our guest will be joining us later to add some flavors to this conversation because he's also royalty. So maybe in the royal kingdom, this is the mentality you should have. Let's hear your thoughts. You can call us on 081-270-53687. And you can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please use your view hashtag. Obiajulu, make I start with you. What are your thoughts that there is no man?
Can I just read some of the things she said that
okay.
can add to the conversation? She says, however, she also added that when he got a second wife, she wasn't moved because she remains the first and no one can take her place. And then she says, even though my hubby has girlfriends, he respects me and puts me first. No woman can shake me because I know my position as his wife. I remain the first. No one can take my place.
That's an interesting perspective because what you're saying is, you know, the man can have extras. The side chicks will be there. But why do we as women make so much fuss over having side chicks when you can be like olori, stay in your place, know he respects you, and keep quiet?
Okay, for me, I think it's a blanket statement because I know that there are no absolutes. We oftentimes see the world from our own perspectives, from our own map of the world. So because this has happened to you, maybe your mother, people around you, you automatically want to assume that that is how it is. That is the reality of things because that's your own reality. But when you pass those sort of comments, it also ends up discouraging people who, in their head, they want to stay in their bubble and they're hoping that their own will be different. But when they see statements like this, it starts becoming acceptable. People are now beginning to accept that every man must cheat, or there are no men that don't cheat. Once you're a man, you hear a lot of men say they are polygamous in nature. I don't know where they got that from. It's because of statements like this, and it has a way of piercing into people. So when I saw that statement, I just did like this. Because that's not what I want to believe, except I see and I catch you red-handed. I say, hey, you have cheated on me. But for me to go around saying some of those things, I understand that it doesn't work for people. And somehow, it finds a way of derailing you. I was coaching a young lady at a point who was finding it difficult to get into a relationship. And then we started talking about her limiting beliefs. And then it came up in the conversation that she strongly believes all men cheat and all men are scum. It was one of her beliefs. In fact, when she said it, it didn't seem like anything until I started digging deep into that belief. Until we're able to solve the issue of that belief and erase it. She didn't get a relationship. Till she did, she was able to now attract what she gives out. So you attract what you give out. We're energy. We attract what we give out. So if I believe that this and this is how it happens, I have blocked myself from getting the one that's not happening the way I believe in it. So I'm very careful. As I saw the message, I just moved away. This one is not for me, Sha. Okay. I just moved away from it.
Let me come to somebody else because doesn't it give you peace of mind when you feel that, listen, let me accept the worst case scenario, just in case there's a possibility, there's a 50-50% chance because, hey, this man might cheat. So doesn't you as a woman give you peace of mind that, let me just accept it now. I know that it's not. Let me just not have that blindsidedness that it's not going to happen to me.
Be shocked. And also coming from someone of her stature and on caliber and royalty, it's important to get that perspective, because I feel that we have overflogged this cheating issue from civilian point of view. And we have talked about it also, so the different dynamics of different marriages. So we've talked about where the man is the breadwinner and the woman is the one waiting on the man to take care of the home. We've talked about when it's a 50-50 marriage where both provide for the home. We've talked about it when it's the woman that provides, We've talked about different ways that we handle it as regular people.
Don't cheating and done it.
But, we have asked this question, especially when we saw the Oni getting married to several wives. We've asked the question of how this cheating works in situations like that, how they handle it. And from what she's said right now, I feel that she's giving her that perspective, that maybe for her and for women like her in relationships like this, they come in knowing what to expect. We know Muslim women, we hear Nima say it all the time, she knows what the religion says for what her husband is supposed to have. So she comes in prepared. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, good. If it happens, she's already prepared. And so it's good to know that. So if you're someone who finds yourself in, let's say, university, you fall in love with the prince of elegunshi.
Just know that.
Yeah, you have already been giving expo on what could happen. And then when you now marry him and realize that he didn't go in the way of his forebears, then you're like, oh, okay, it worked out differently for me. But if it works out the way it's always worked out with the rest, then you'd be like, I expected it. This was what I was willing to accept. Secondly, in marriages like this, I don't know if you guys follow her on social media. She's always so beautifully made up and wonderfully dressed, jewelry sparkling from everywhere. And I'm wondering, is it not easier to accept that kind of polygamous relationship when they crown you and they water you?
They wash you.
What are you complaining about? But when I'm the one bringing 50, you're bringing 50, and then you want me saying that I should...
That's another answer. But we have, like, the Oba Igbalan, I think, is Abalaki. He's married to one woman, and people just wonder how he was able to stay with just one woman. We're going to be having an Oba very soon and find out what his own plans are when it comes to marriage. He's going to have extra wives. But what are your thoughts? Because is it possible to be a king and have one wife?
Well, I don't want to answer that question yet. I think I should just address the Queen's comment. And I feel that, BC she went very, very deep. But because really those are the foundation. We make our beliefs make us. We create beliefs that support us and validate our preconceived mindset. So I hit my left leg. I'll be like, maybe if I hit my right leg, it would have been worse. So I defined the circumstance so that I am consoled by my reality. Now, I can choose to say, because I'm married to a man that cheats, or if I marry a man that is philandering, I will tell myself, all men do this, so that I can accept my beliefs better. I can accept my reality better. So I will define it in a way that works for me. And when we do that, it's a coping mechanism that it works for people that do it. It helps them to accept their reality. But it is not a universal truth. And the universal truth you can't shift it. So for me, what she said is a belief she has accepted that has helped her to manage the realities of her own life. And if you find yourself in a situation where you're married to a man who finds it comfortable to have girlfriends, you can decide to adopt this belief to help you manage your life so that you don't give yourself hypertension. So that works for some people. But for some other people, their own beliefs are different. And their reality will be created by their beliefs. Because you make your beliefs and your beliefs make you. So that's my decision. That's my comment on. That's my comment on that particular one.
I decided to go deep because we have talked about cheating. I didn't even know any other way to discuss cheating again. Like Miriam said, we have spoken about it upside down, downside up. So I had to deliberately bring another angle that will maybe help us understand. Sometimes things happen and we see it on the surface and we explain it on the surface, but they are deeper. So if you're getting into a relationship or a business venture or whatever it is you're doing, and from the beginning you're already expecting that it could go wrong, it's a trauma response and it's wrong, You are reacting to the trauma that you have been to, and that's not the way to really live your life.
How would you define it as trauma?
It's trauma response. I'm telling you, psychology. It's trauma response. So because it has happened and failed in certain areas, you have assumed, instead of me to be heartbroken, let me prepare myself for it happening again. And then you start preparing yourself. And when you do that, your brain, your mind, your centers are in flight, freeze, and what's the other third one? Mode at all times. And that's not a way to live. A lot of people have gone through different forms of trauma, and they have, created different coping mechanisms to help them live their lives. At the end of the day, it boils down to us having regular illnesses, things that trace back to your health. So the best thing is, believe in the best case scenario. Why do I want to be thinking of the worst case scenario? I'm having a very good marriage right now. Why do I want to sit and start thinking one day Mr. Uche will leave me? Why do I want to put myself in that way? Because if I'm thinking in that way, remember that our thoughts create our feelings, and our feelings end up creating our actions and our reality. So why am I bothered about what he's going to do tomorrow in order to survive today? Let me live for today, and then if tomorrow comes, I would handle it.
All right.
You know what
So
people call that sometimes? Foresight.
So
No, that's
That's what. Yeah.
psychology, trauma.
Let me take this call. Let me take this call. Good morning, Mr. John. Are you there?
Is what they say.
John, are you there?
Evil.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Okay, you see, that's our own reality. And our reality is different from your own reality. Your own reality is different from corporate reality.
Yeah.
Cheating is a choice. I am married. I don't cheat. And I will never cheat. I've said it before on this platform. Now, before I got married, while I was still very young, dating, I dated one lady per time. I never double dated. I trained myself so. I had the opportunity and privileges to date so many women, but I did it. And I've been married. I don't cheat, and I will not cheat. Cheating is not a general thing. It's not everybody that cheats. It's a choice. So what she's saying is not a general thing. That is our own, in their own kingdom, in the royal,
In our own kingdom.
temple.
Our kingdom.
But generally,
Thank you, Mr. John. I was going to come to you, Mary, because Bisi said something about trauma, and it was important for me to help us get some clarity. Because what is trauma to you might not be trauma to somebody else. Somebody who grew up in the polygamous setting, her parents have been, their grandfather, great-grandfather all had 10 wives, 12 wives. It's not traumatic. In fact, someone can go to the Bible and say, all through the Old Testament, people were marrying or were multiple wives. So they can say, that is the reality. It's the Oyinbo that came to flip that reality and traumatized men who were used to having multiple. Now force them to have only one. So somebody can flip it. So the men are actually traumatized because they are being forced. They are being forced to only marry one wife.
I agree with
because
you,
somebody has said that's be more than one wife.
They're going to use it as placard for everything.
No, we could flip it. So the truth is that.
Can I explain a little what I mean by trauma? I'm not
different.
talking too much so that Miriam can jump in. What I mean by trauma response is not the polygamy that is the trauma.
Okay.
It's you, and I mentioned even businesses and career and other things, is you sitting down and expecting the worst case scenario in every situation. That's where the trauma comes in.
Miriam had a word for that. Foresight.
Yeah. Why are you foresighting evil?
Because when people go for therapy, it's part of what, like, listen, this is my reality. Let me think ahead. The worst case scenario, I have thought of all the options. Forgive your husband. They tell you, forgive your husband ahead. I know part of the advice I got when I was entering marriage, like, think of all the things your husband can do. And know the ones you can and you cannot. The one I know I cannot, I know. But the ones that there are sins, forgive him even before you enter that marriage. So that your mind is already processing the worst case scenario. So that when it does happen, then how is that trauma?
It's trauma.
So the way I have always understood foresight is to be aware of what the possible outcomes could be so that you can take the best decision, for yourself and plan in such a way that you get the best out of the situation you're about to embark on. And sometimes it may involve considering what could happen if it went left. Sometimes it could involve seeing the worst case scenario, not
Expecting it.
Not accepting that is the only outcome. So you have foresight, meaning, okay, because I know that this could be an outcome, I will plan myself better so I don't fall into the, the holes that the negative outcome could bring. So it is foresight to be able to think throughout. Fear is when you insist that the only outcome is the negative outcome. So you are now chained or bound by your fear. You're unable to do anything about it. Now let's look at another royal family, for example. We'll be here about Harry and Meghan. And for me, this is two people who have decided to do something outside what has always been done for generations in their own royal family. And there's a cost for it. So when we tell people that they should, have their own belief and everything, we should also let them know that it comes with a cost. We're not saying it's a bad thing, but there are consequences for whatever path you decide to follow. You can go the easy way, which has always been, this is how we've done it, and this is how we'll always do it. So if I'm coming into a family like that, I know this is how they do things, and easily and quietly I maintain.
Yes.
Or if I decide I'm going to go against the mold, then I'm prepared for the consequences that come with it. So for her, what she's saying is, I find it easy and joyful, and I'm happy where I am because I already knew from a long time ago this is how it works. But if I have a daughter, if she has a daughter now who has decided, I'm not going to take what my mother took, I'm not going to accept what my mother accepted from my father, I'm going to do it differently. It will come with some things, and it will come with the fact, it may even come with the fact that she may not end up with a prince or end up with a king, because a king and a prince in Nigeria believe that they have the right to be with many women. So your picture that we're painting for people, let them understand the consequences, the repercussions,
I like the point,
and also the success that can come from.
I like the point she made, because she has children, and the daughters might say, you know what, I don't want this life.
Have your life.
They can want to marry somebody else and say, no, it's just you and I.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting point. Let me take Shola from Ikorodu. Good morning, Shola. Are you there? Hello, Shola. Are you there? There's another interesting thing you said about money, that when money is there, it's kind of easier to say, that is how it is. Me, I'm okay, I'm comfortable, I respect my zone. But there are some poor obas. There are some kings that there are some rich kings. There's some poorer kings, dude, who feel like, I'm a king, and still you cannot provide. And some women don't really care.
A king
cannot
provide. The community provides for you.
So what she said is a lot of all men, a man that will not cheat has not been born. That, for me, is a definite statement that comes from inside you. Like, you've solidified that belief. But I'll put it aside because that's a personal reality and I don't want to overburden that. But let anybody receiving it also have their filters consciously.
Thank you.
Because what you receive into your life can become your reality. So if you don't want it, tell yourself, this is some people's reality, but I don't want it. Now, Maria made a very, very important point. In business schools, they call it scenario building. You run a business, your business is going well, but when you're planning for the future, you build scenarios. You build, if this 1 billion comes in, if 100 billion comes in, what if it's only 1 million that comes in? All the scenarios, you plan on how you will manage it. Yeah. And then you prepare for the best. You choose that this is the one I'm working with, but you plan. So there's nothing wrong with you being observant of what is going on, but what is your reality? What is your statement?
Your expectation?
What is your statement all the time? Concerning marriage, I believe that anybody married should always speak positive about their marriage, about their expectation. Okay. And if you're single, that should also be your case.
All
when it comes to money.
Have a call. Have a call. Been holding for a while. Shola, please, from Ikorodu, you're live.
Yeah, good morning, Mara.
Morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning to all the ladies in the studio. Yeah, you see, I want to disagree with this opinion of all men are cheat. I disagree with it, honestly, because I am married and I don't cheat. And I have so many friends like that don't cheat.
What's your address?
I have an uncle that we just lost just last week. You know, he stays in Jos, but he works in Benin. He just died. And this morning, one of my cousins that went for his burial was just calling me today that some of his friends are saying they are very surprised of this, your uncle. That ever since they know him for over 10 years, he has not gone back to the north, and they have never seen him with a female friend, just for one, even up to the time of his death. So I disagree that all men are cheap.
We agree with you.
So
Thank you, Shola. All right, so I'm told our guest is in. I have to bring him in because he'll add some flavor and spice to this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Some juice.
to it.
Jury scene, jury